It started like any other love story, a chance meeting in a crowded cafe in London, 2018. Emma Collins, a 28-year-old graphic designer, never imagined that the charming stranger she met that rainy evening would one day become the source of terror in her life. What seemed like fate at first glance was, in reality, a meticulously calculated scheme disguised as romance. Did Emma fall in love too quickly, or was this darkness something no one could have predicted? The lines between affection and obsession were about to blur in ways that would shock even seasoned investigators. Disclaimer: content is for awareness and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion advised. Emma's story begins on the narrow streets of Shoreditch, where hip cafes and art studios mask a world of secrets and hidden dangers. Enter James Harrow, 32, a man whose charisma made friends instantly, whose attention made Emma feel seen in ways she had never experienced. But behind the smiles and tender texts lay a mind obsessed, manipulative, and disturbingly meticulous. By the time Emma realized something was wrong, James had already begun orchestrating a series of actions that would escalate from subtle intimidation to shocking violence. Neighbors who saw the couple together never suspected the storm brewing beneath the surface. "They seemed perfect for each other," recalls one, shaking her head. But perfection can be a mask, and obsession can disguise itself as passion. Emma started noticing subtle signs, messages that arrived at odd hours, possessive comments disguised as concern, and unexpected appearances that made her uneasy. Each warning seemed minor at first, but in hindsight, they were breadcrumbs leading toward a disaster she could not yet see. As James's fixation grew, so did the tension. Friends noticed Emma withdrawing from her social life, but when they asked, she dismissed their concerns as jealousy or paranoia. How does a loving relationship turn into a trap? When does devotion become dangerous obsession? These are questions that investigators would ask later, as they pieced together the events leading to a crime so chilling it would leave a mark on the city's collective memory. By the autumn of 2019, the relationship had shifted from passionate romance to psychological warfare. Emma's laughter faded, her energy drained. Every interaction carried a weight she could not explain. And while she tried to rationalize James's behavior, the signs of impending violence were already mounting. Anonymous threats, unexplained disappearances of personal items, and subtle hints that someone was watching her every move. Could Emma escape before it was too late? Or was she already ensnared in a trap carefully laid by someone she had once trusted with her heart? The question now hangs over the city streets of London like a dark cloud. When does love cross the line into danger? And how do ordinary people recognize the deadly patterns before tragedy strikes? If this story has captured your attention so far, comment "Love Gone Wrong." Share this video with anyone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell for more shocking, gripping, and emotional true crime stories. What subtle clues might Emma have missed, and how far could obsession go before anyone realized it? The shift was subtle at first, almost imperceptible. Emma's friends began to notice James's presence in places he had no reason to be. Outside her favorite cafe, at her gym, even near her office in Shoreditch. It was as though he had mapped her life in detail, knowing her routines better than she did herself. When Emma tried to set boundaries, James's charm would resurface, apologetic, loving, but always with a quiet undercurrent that suggested displeasure. Was this love, or the beginning of psychological entrapment? By late 2019, the relationship had taken a darker turn. James would insist on knowing every detail of Emma's day, questioning her about friends she met or places she visited. Messages came incessantly, at times pleading, at times accusatory. One evening, a knock at her door revealed James standing there, drenched from the rain, claiming he had been worried, despite Emma having assured him she was fine. His presence, once comforting, now felt suffocating. Emma began to feel the creeping weight of fear, a silent dread she could not name. Things escalated further when personal items began disappearing. Keys, letters, small mementos she had left at home. At first, she thought she was misplacing them, but soon she realized James had taken them, as if rehearsing control, testing boundaries. Every warning she received in retrospect friends' concerned glances, colleagues' subtle remarks, was now a clear indicator of a man whose obsession was steadily intensifying. In January 2020, the first real act of aggression occurred. Emma returned home one night to find her front door slightly ajar. Inside, James waited, claiming it was a surprise. Fear clenched her stomach as the realization sank in. What once felt like intimacy had become intrusion. She tried to leave, tried to explain that this behavior was unacceptable, but James's reaction was unnerving. Apologies wrapped in guilt, assurances of change, yet an unmistakable intensity behind his eyes. The psychological manipulation was relentless. Gaslighting became routine. Emma began doubting her perceptions, questioning her instincts. Friends warned her repeatedly, but isolation had begun to take its toll. Who could she trust? Could she even trust her own mind? And while James's obsession grew, he maintained a facade of normalcy in public. A charming, considerate man capable of drawing anyone in. This duality, so common in stories of deadly love, made it almost impossible to anticipate the turning point. As Emma's anxiety mounted, the city's darkening nights seemed to mirror her internal tension. Each shadow became a potential threat, each unexpected message a psychological trap. How far could one man push before the inevitable happened? And when love turns deadly, can anyone truly escape the spiral once it begins? If this story has gripped you so far, comment obsessed. Share this video with everyone who needs to be aware of the hidden dangers of obsession. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell for more chilling true crime stories. What signs might others have missed, and how did obsession transform into an imminent threat? Here's part 3 of your narrative for When Love Turns Deadly, expanded with more detail and depth. By spring 2020, Emma's life had become a tightrope balancing fear, doubt, and the fading remnants of what she once believed was love. James's behavior grew increasingly unpredictable. Sometimes he was tender, caring, and attentive, buying her favorite flowers, leaving notes of apology and devotion. But these gestures masked something far more sinister. Other times, he would explode at the smallest perceived slight, a delayed text response, a misunderstood comment, or a friend's innocuous question. The volatility left Emma walking on eggshells, never knowing which version of James would appear next. Friends tried repeatedly to intervene, urging her to recognize the danger she was in. "He's controlling, Emma. You need to see this for what it is." One friend warned over coffee, her voice trembling with worry. But James had already begun isolating Emma, sowing seeds of doubt that her friend's concern was jealousy or misunderstanding. Every call, every text, every meeting with someone who questioned the relationship became another reason for Emma to retreat further into James's orbit. He was a master manipulator, blending charm, fear, and guilt into a trap that tightened with each passing day. One night, the tension reached a new crescendo. Emma returned home to find the apartment meticulously rearranged. Personal belongings moved, drawers rifled through, photographs subtly altered, everything sending a clear, silent message: "I am always watching." Panic surged through her as she realized this wasn't merely control, it was obsession, bordering on the pathological. The police had been called months earlier after a minor incident, but without concrete evidence, there was little they could do. Emma was trapped in a terrifying limbo, too frightened to leave, too exposed to remain. The situation escalated further when James began tracking her every movement. GPS notifications, unexpected visits to her workplace, and coincidental sightings at locations she frequented became regular occurrences. It was no longer a matter of persuasion or manipulation. It was surveillance, a relentless assertion of dominance that left Emma questioning her every action. Each day felt like a chess game, and she was always several moves behind. How do you escape someone who seems to know your thoughts before you even speak them? By mid-2020, the relationship had transformed entirely. Love, once a source of joy, had become a cage. Emma's creativity waned, her laughter faded, and even the bright city of London seemed to dim under the weight of her fear. Every knock on the door, every message ping, every shadow in the hallway became a potential threat. She began documenting everything: texts, photos, incidents, but the constant anxiety began to erode her sense of safety and self-worth. The looming question became impossible to ignore. How far would James go when control and obsession collided? And when love turns deadly, is there ever a way to anticipate the final act before it unfolds? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "too close for comfort." Share this video with anyone who needs to understand the hidden dangers of obsession. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell for more shocking, real-life crime stories. What would you do if someone you loved began to show the first signs of a terrifying obsession, and how would you recognize the turning point before it's too late? By late summer 2020, the full weight of James's obsession had become unbearable. Emma, once vibrant and independent, now lived in a state of constant vigilance. Every sound, every unexpected movement, every message on her phone triggered anxiety. The man who once seemed like her soulmate had become a shadow stalking her every step. Friends who tried to reach out were met with silence or excuses. Emma's world had narrowed to the four walls of her apartment, the spaces she could control, the routines she could predict. But even these felt fragile under James's watchful eye. The escalation was not only psychological, but physical. One evening, Emma discovered her door slightly ajar, a chilling reminder that James had entered her home uninvited. The police were called, but once again, the lack of concrete evidence meant there was little they could do. Each intrusion was a silent threat, each apology a mask for the next act of intimidation. James's manipulation had reached a point where fear and love were intertwined, leaving Emma trapped in a cycle she could barely recognize or resist. Friends and colleagues began noticing subtle bruises, signs of struggles hidden behind layers of clothing and quick explanations. Emma's once bright eyes, full of creativity and laughter, now reflected constant worry. She had become a master of pretense, navigating her public life while secretly battling terror at home. How can one protect themselves when the person threatening them knows their routines better than anyone else? How do you fight someone who presents a facade of normalcy while hiding sinister intentions? The tension reached a crescendo in October 2020. James had begun leaving messages that were no longer pleading but demanding, instructions disguised as concern, ultimatums wrapped in declarations of love. Emma realized that this was not a phase, nor a series of unfortunate events. This was a calculated escalation towards something far darker. She began confiding in a small circle of trusted friends, slowly uncovering the depth of the danger she faced. Each revelation brought relief, but also terror. The more she learned about his past, the more she understood how carefully James orchestrated every action. Surveillance footage from the building lobby, phone records, and witness accounts revealed a chilling pattern. James had been shadowing her for months, learning when she left, who she interacted with, and even when she sought help. Emma's sense of reality, already fragile, began to fracture under the pressure. Could she escape unscathed? And when love turns deadly, who can predict the moment when obsession erupts into irreversible violence? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Danger lurks." Share this video with anyone who may be in a controlling or obsessive relationship. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell for more chilling true crime stories. How far would someone go when they feel entitled to control another person's life? And could Emma find the courage and means to finally break free before tragedy strikes? By late autumn 2020, the tension that had been building for months finally reached a breaking point. Emma knew that remaining passive was no longer an option. Each day in James's presence became a battle of wills, her fear colliding with a growing determination to reclaim her life. The charming man she had once trusted had revealed himself entirely, controlling, obsessive, and unpredictable. Every calculated step she had taken to protect herself now seemed fragile, yet Emma realized she could no longer allow fear to dictate her existence. The final confrontation came one evening when James appeared at her apartment, uninvited, his demeanor shifting from affectionate concern to cold insistence. Emma, her pulse racing, made a decision that had been months in the making. She would confront the threat, not merely evade it. With her friends on standby and authorities alerted in advance, Emma refused to retreat. The confrontation was intense. James alternated between pleading and aggression, a volatile mix that showcased the dangerous duality of his personality. It was in that moment, with witnesses present and law enforcement ready, that Emma asserted control over her own life, breaking free from the psychological grip that had ensnared her for months. The aftermath was a complicated blend of relief and lingering trauma. James was arrested and charged with harassment, trespassing, and psychological abuse, though the shadow of what might have occurred lingered in Emma's mind. Therapy and support networks became lifelines, helping her navigate the emotional and psychological aftermath. While James's obsession had not culminated in the physical violence she feared, the story serves as a stark warning about the destructive potential of control, obsession, and the dark side of love. Emma's journey also illustrates resilience. Surviving the psychological manipulation, reclaiming her autonomy, and rebuilding trust in her instincts became acts of courage that resonate far beyond one individual's story. The tragedy is not only in what almost happened, but in the awareness that many others face similar patterns of control and obsession, often unseen until it's almost too late. When love turns deadly, it forces a question upon us all. How well do we truly know the people we invite into our hearts and homes? What signs should never be ignored, and how can courage and vigilance save a life before obsession crosses into irreversible danger? If this story has gripped you, comment "Freedom Wins." Share this video with anyone who may be in a controlling or obsessive relationship. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell for more real-life crime stories that expose the dark undercurrents of human behavior. Have you ever witnessed love turn toxic? And what would you do if someone you trusted suddenly became your most dangerous threat? This is Crime Chronicles TVc, your daily dose of real crime stories. Stay tuned for more gripping tales of justice, betrayal, and survival that will keep you on the edge of your seat.